Hi, Laura. Thank you for helping my project. Could you say a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Hey, I am Laura. I am 32. I am in Charlotte, North Carolina. And probably my whole life, I've just been a really big space fan. And it is my goal to be a part of it and hopefully make an impact someday.
So, what is your earliest space memory?
Oh gosh. Maybe probably second grade. I remember someone came to speak to my class, and um, I just can remember from that point on, I was hooked. And I made my parents buy whatever the person was selling that day. It was some sort of like flyers about all of the planets. And yeah, from then on.
I, were your parents like encouraging your interest in space, or was it something you saw at school? Was it friends, something on TV? I mean, like any idea on how you were first exposed to it?
Probably more so self-directed. I did grow up in Texas, so I begged for many years to get down to Houston for, take me to NASA, please. And that happened in high school. So it took a while, but it happened.
Um, do you remember what you saw?
We just went around the visitor center and saw everything that they have there. Yeah, it was really cool.
Well, if you ever come to Houston again, let me know.
Oh yeah, I will.
So when did you, well, I presume you knew pretty much as early as anybody did that we were planning to go back to the moon again for the first time since 1972.
Yes, very excited.
Do you remember how you found out?
I don't remember particularly. Maybe through Twitter, social media. Yeah, probably.
What did surprise you that of the non-space people that I interviewed, just like random people at Starbucks and at the store, on the street, on the bus, on the airplane, only
Yeah.
about 20% of them know we're going back to the moon.
Mm. That's not surprising. I think it's probably higher. Yeah.
And you said it's exciting. Could you talk a little bit more about why it excites you?
Because it's been so long, probably. And I think we're really at a point now where we can make it happen more often and we can make a bigger impact. Getting on the moon and colonizing, and I just think there's so many more opportunities and things we can do now.
It's kind of interesting talking about more often. It just occurred to me. So 1972 was the last time. 1969 was the first time.
Yeah.
So that's essentially what, 5 years?
Yeah.
69, 70, 71, 72. 4 years.
Yeah.
And we went 6 times. We landed on the surface of the moon. I think.
Which even then was fairly often. Like that's pretty regular for back then.
It is. I think that's actually higher than the planned Artemis flight rate. Actually.
For right now, probably. Hopefully that will change though.
I hope. And it'll stay longer too. It won't be a few
hours.
Well,
right.
Or a day or two. So
new technology. Yeah. I think a lot more we can do.
And the video should be better, I hope.
Video, I know. It's so exciting. Yeah. Be able to watch the whole thing real time.
I probably have like 4K 360 3D video that you could like put on an Oculus and feel like you're really there.
I mean, it's the best thing. It's probably the second best thing to being there, right? We're like a fly on the wall.
It may even be better than being there in some ways, because you got to think.
This is true.
These astronauts are like in these suits, and they're hearing like they're breathing and all the machines, and they're.
And I'm just watching it on my couch. Yeah.
Just crazy. Just pick up some sand like it's moon dust.
Right. That's crazy.
Yeah. Um, are your peers and people you know in your family excited about space, or are you kind of the primary one?
It's still me. It's still self-directed. I going back to what you just pointed out and talked about, it's I don't think enough people know about it. It's really, really important. And then so I think some of that responsibility falls on us as the fans and the people that keep up with it, to get awareness and educate and get other people in on it. I talk to, friends and they don't even know what the International Space Station is. I'm like, no, this is terrible. Like, it's so important. I think just last week, the SpaceX satellites were supposed to have a flyover in Charlotte. So I took one of my friends, we were out having dinner, and said, we have to go. We have to try and watch this. And they just have no idea about it. They're like, what are we going to see? What is it going to look like? What is it? And so I'm just constantly trying, like, did you know this is happening? What else can we do? So important.
Well, and it comes up in like weird ways. So I mean, like you're like instigating it, right? Like,
Right.
hey, come look at this thing. But I was just
Yeah.
having dinner with like my mom or lunch with my mom yesterday, and she's like, so how did Elon get the Ukrainians internet access? So,
Right.
we're
Right.
talking about, this huge constellation of satellites in low Earth orbit and why they need so many, and
Right.
interesting.
But I think that also kind of bridges a gap where maybe people that aren't aware of it it's getting a little bit more either political or in more of an everyday news. And so people are hearing about it and then they're asking questions. So it's almost like bridging that gap of awareness. So that's interesting.
It is, yeah. I had another conversation, I think last year or whenever, what was it? Russia did the anti-satellite test.
Yeah.
And mom's like, oh, it's so funny. They're destroying their own satellites. So it's like, yeah, but what about the debris?
Right. Right. Exactly.
Yeah. So, well, I've heard a lot of interesting responses to us going to the moon. I'd like to run some by you and kind of get your take on what would be your best counter response, if you don't mind.
Okay.
Okay. We've already been to the moon. Why are we going back?
Right. That's probably number one question. I would probably counter that with, I'm just generally a proponent of let's learn from history. So we have already gone before, but see what came of it. So let's go back again. And now that we have, again, more technology, more accessibility, more awareness, like a lot of maybe even stability behind us. We have reusability, like we have a lot more now. So that we just need to go and we need to explore and we need to learn. It's so important. And I think people maybe think it's a little more menial than it is. And when you can put it in a perspective of how it will impact someone and what it really means, then it becomes personal and they get, a buy-in. And then they'll believe in it and they'll understand why we're going.
No, that's a good point. About the personal impact. I've been thinking, back in like the 60s and 70s, people were really excited about the space program.
Yeah.
And I think a large reason was they thought it was just a matter of time before they would go.
Yeah.
And
that's interesting.
I think like the past 50, 60 years has proven to everybody that it's probably not a matter of time before you go.
But it's funny that you say that. That's almost how I feel now.
Yeah, me too. Like, look at Starship.
And I'm like, it might be possible. Right.
Let it fly. Let it fly.
Right. Yeah. That's actually really interesting. Yeah. Because that's how I feel now.
Yeah, it's like going on Christmas on December 24th.
Yeah. Yeah.
At midnight.
Let's hope that some of us actually have that chance now. Let's hope.
So kind of a counter response that I've been toying with. I kind of
Yeah.
tell you, I'm like, you've been to Disney World before. Do you want to go back?
Yeah, you do.
Why?
Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
And it also changes all the time,
Yeah, you didn't ride all the rides or see everything, all the shows. So.
Oh.
So one of the responses I got early on when I did this interview that really stuck with me was, we messed up the Earth, we shouldn't mess up the moon too.
My counter might be, but aren't you now seeing how much we need to take care of our Earth? So then we also need to apply that. And again, I don't think the general population understand the parts that our planets play in our world and our everyday lives. So if they really could understand like what the moon and the sun and our closest planets have an impact on us, they would maybe more realize how important it is. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm kind of been challenged myself of, I mean, if you see the long range future of humanity to be multi-planetary, spacefaring, all this, I mean, the moon makes so much logical sense.
Right.
But if you see the future of humanity as being confined to Earth, I mean, is there really any reason that could justify it,
Right. Based on your viewpoint. Yeah. How you see things, a little more open-minded versus closed-minded, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But talking about that, in like 200 years, what do you think the future of humanity could be?
Oh, I hope. Oh my gosh, I don't know. I hope we are multi-planetary species. I hope we have, I don't know if, I mean, 200 years is a long time. So let's say I would hope we have colonized at least 2 planets. I think it would be really interesting if we have in some way found out if there's any other life forms, or just, I don't know. I don't know what that would be. Just someone find that answer, I think a lot of us have that answer. So a lot of the unknown of like what's out there and the exploration of it, maybe have some of those answers.
I know 200 years is a really long time whenever you think about the past 200 years. I mean, like the past 200 years.
How much has happened in only 2 years? Yeah.
I mean, like we didn't have electricity, no light bulbs, no telegraph, no automobiles, no computers, no calculators, no. I mean, I'm not even sure. Did we have cameras 200 years ago? I'm not sure. I mean, it's kind of iffy. But
I know.
If you look at the 200 years from say, 1100, maybe like 100 AD to 300 AD,
Yeah.
I don't get the sense that there was really that much technological development in that 200 years. It's like,
it's true. That is true. Might depend on what 200 years we're in.
I know. And so the question is, what drove all this technology development over the past 200 years? And are those drivers still in place? Or is there some like counter driver
I think so.
that could change the next 200 years,
Right. I mean, because those questions are kind of hard to answer, because like you said, like we back then we couldn't have even imagined the things that exist now. So it's hard to be like, maybe we'll be here or this thing will exist. Because I just can't, even imagine it. But I do think it'll be more accelerated. So I think technology will drive it, and from what we've learned, and we're just constantly building upon it. Yeah.
Of course, the other side is, 20 days ago, Maripol had indoor plumbing, and now they don't.
Right.
It's like so easy to go the wrong way.
It is. It is. Yeah.
If it was safe and affordable, would you take a trip to space?
Oh, yeah.
Like, how far would you go?
Oh, maybe to the moon. I don't know. See, again, it's like, what is safe? I don't know. I guess I would say I would try to go as a little bit further than that, but yeah, I would absolutely go. I hope I go. Yeah.
Assuming Elon gets, the Starship going and he's building
Yeah.
that 1 million person city on Mars, would you immigrate to Mars?
Oh, probably not. I think if we're realistically talking about it happening in our lifetime, I think even if I'm willing to go, I think people in my life would not be willing to go. And then how do you deal with that? I don't know. Do you go the rest of your life without seeing somebody? I don't know. That's a tough question.
Well, if you look back at the kind of like the migration and immigration from like 100 years, 200 years ago, a lot of people left their
You do
home
have to do it. Right.
thinking they would never see these people again.
It's very true. I don't know. That'd be a hard question.
I know. The interesting thing is, you had like these explorers that went to these places and, they're going to go, but they're kind of a small fraction of humanity.
Right.
The vast number of people that went, I think, came because where they were was so much worse that the unknown had to be better.
It was a better opportunity than even what they knew. Yeah.
And so it's almost like we need a tunnel to Mars.
Right.
And then conditions here go bad. And a whole bunch of people are like,
it's hard.
I don't care about how bad it is on Mars.
Get me out of here.
Get me out of here.
That's our escape route. Yeah. Emergency plan. Ugh, I don't know. It would be nice though in some way to have both options.
I know, like Las Vegas. I mean, there's no reason to go to the middle of the desert.
You never know.
Yeah.
Who knows what could happen?
Yeah, I could just hear the telemarketing calls now about free hotel nights and
right. Just trying to get people out there. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
You just have to buy your meals on the way. That's all.
Right.
But the travel's free.
You like get a Tesla when you get back or something. I don't know. That's funny.
So that 200-year time frame, I like to turn it around a little bit. Imagine, let's say either you immigrate to Mars or one of your descendants does, but in 200 years, your great, I'm not sure how many greats it takes to get to 200, granddaughter is on Mars. She's in high school. She's doing a project about the 2020s. And what are some things that you hope she can write about this decade in her paper?
I hope they would know we were resilient. We had hope. We wanted more for the future. We fight for change. Probably just that general theme that even us looking back again on another 200 years as this cycle goes, I think that kind of theme that goes throughout. It's like no matter what's happening or what timeline you're in, it's the people and the humanity is what matters most and makes the world what it is. Yeah.
that is awesome. Yeah, I really think, this will be a period to study. Sort of like, whenever aviation started taking off. Like,
Right.
I think right now, like whatever your wildest estimate of 2030 is, it will be looked at as being pessimistic. I hope.
Hopefully. Right. Right. Yeah. I kind of have that same view. Yeah. Which is why I'm like, I want to be a part of it. I'm like, what can I do? Let's change it. Let's push it forward. Let's keep it going. Yeah. I want to be a part of that.
Um, well, those were the questions I had, but is there anything that you wanted to talk about, or did you have any questions for me?
Um, I don't know necessarily. Has there been anything interesting come across through that's my dog, I'm sorry. Through your interviews or a common theme that everyone's had?
Well, I would say the common theme is not space related, and that is
Oh,
people are a lot smarter than they appear to be. It's just they're being
yeah.
asked the wrong questions.
Oh,
They're being asked, vote for this person, or why do you vote that, or why do you, switch this long distance carrier, or that type of thing. But you start talking to them about space and the future of humanity, they do have, they may not be things that one that you and I would agree with, but it, they're definitely like seem thoughtful.
right.
It's
Yeah.
like, yeah,
Hmm.
I think,
Have
and
you?
people are very helpful. I will tell you that. I've been
Yes.
surprised. I mean, my biggest challenge in my project is that I don't know how to present it in 5 seconds to keep it from looking like a scam or like,
Right.
some type of, this is like, why do you want to interview me about the moon? Who are you with? Are you
Yeah.
with a news organization? No. Are you?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Kind of my challenge.
Have you interviewed anyone like former astronaut or someone that we would consider famous in our world, I guess?
A few people I interviewed. I think his name is Rick Davis, if I remember right, but he's a scientist over at NASA.
Oh,
Eric
very cool.
Berger, he
Oh
writes
yeah.
for Ars Technica.
Yeah.
I've interviewed the daughter of one of the Apollo astronauts.
Oh,
Um,
I think I did see that
and
one.
I've interviewed, like the CEO of, uh, let's see, Paragon Space
Mm-hmm.
Systems.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I've interviewed some people at Blue Origin. I've not interviewed anybody from SpaceX. I think they're too busy.
That's true. They're very busy. Yes. Yeah, rightfully so.
I have interviewed a SpaceXer's girlfriend though, so that's as
Okay.
close as I
Okay.
got.
Is there anybody on your wish list? Anybody that you would like to?
Well, I got two people, Jim Bridenstine, who
Oh,
I've actually
love.
met and took a selfie with when he came to Rice. And
Yeah,
then
that would be
Doug
great.
Laverio, who was actually kind of the inspiration for the project to begin with. I just felt
Okay.
like it'd be fitting, because he had that lapel pin that with the
Yeah.
number of days to end of 2024, and he was
Oh, yeah.
going around NASA highlighting the hero of the day. So
Oh,
that directly led to this project. So I just felt like it'd be fitting. I mean, it's a shame the whole
definitely.
contract thing and all that. So that might present a challenge, but
Right.
those would be two people on my wish list at least.
Right.
Yeah.
Very cool. I
Good.
would think if you could get Buzz, that might be the coolest thing ever.
Yeah, maybe I might have a lot better with that than getting a selfie with him. I actually, in
Yeah.
2016, when Elon was presenting at the International Astronautical Congress,
Uh-huh.
me, my wife, and my younger son all went down there to watch him, and we were able to get really close seats because of this Reddit SpaceX group.
Yeah.
Uh, Buzz Aldrin was in the row right in front of my wife and son on the plane, and
Oh,
yeah, and we wanted
wow.
to take a picture with them. My wife didn't actually know who it was at the time. She just saw like this guy who worked on like orbital mechanics and stuff. But he does not like being a poster and a prop and people selfies,
Right.
which I think
Yes.
totally makes sense. I mean,
I do.
yeah.
I get that. Yeah.
But it's just also kind of, I mean, the other side of it, we did spend a lot of money to send them to them, so there's that. But
Right. And no, it was a big deal. Yeah. It was a big deal. Yeah. I think that would be very cool. I actually got the opportunity to see him once in Dallas. He was doing a local speaking event, and yeah, it was really cool. And I have his book. I think it was on his book, on his book tour, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll reach out to him on Twitter and see what happens.
All right. Good luck.
maybe I should talk to the daughter of the Apollo astronaut. See if
Oh, right. I was gonna say, or if you get Jim or somebody, like pull a string somewhere. Yeah. Yeah. Very cool. I think that was all I had.
Well, Laura, I really appreciate you connecting with me and participating in my project. And you mentioned, I think right before we started recording, actually, that I was telling you about my flight controller position, and I think you said something about well, there's hope. I was wondering if that was something you might be interested in.
Oh, yeah. Because I also want to work in the space industry somehow, some way. My life goal was always NASA, but that has expanded now, now that we've grown and we have SpaceX and Blue Origin, the whole thing. But right now I'm in kind of corporate America business world. So it's always in the back of my mind, like how I'm going to make that switch. So to hear, that other people do it, I'm like, it does give me hope. I'm like, okay, it'll just happen at some point.
Well, and they're hiring entry-level flight controllers all the time.
Okay.
And, I mean, like the only qualification that I needed for the job was a degree in math, right? So math, engineering, or, like physics or something like that.
Yeah.
Being an American citizen.
Yep.
And, the training for it's about a year and a half. So I think one big consideration is, will you stick around after that training to actually offer value? Because a lot of people end up moving on, before they complete training or right after they get the training.
Right.
And it's like, you still need the flight controllers. So.
Right. Yeah. Well, from what I saw, it seemed kind of difficult to get into. So that's good to know.
Yeah. I mean, do you have a degree in like math or engineering or?
Information technology.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Not sure that would.
Yeah, it's like probably close, but
close.
It probably needs to be a little more math physics related.
That might be good. But you could probably do a program like that online or at a local.
Well, yeah, right. Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm always looking.
Yeah, no, I mean,
keep it all in mind.
I'm only 10 weeks into it, so I got to tell you,
wow,
fantastic. So
that's awesome.
I highly recommend it.
Yeah, I want my mission control moment.
Yeah. It's great.
Like epitome of life. Like, yeah. So cool. Yeah, that's great.
Well, Laura, thank you so much again, and I hope you have a good rest of your day. And if there's ever anything I could do, just reach out.
Okay, I will. Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.